What's going on, everybody? C4 here, back with another video for Free Agency Frenzy. A couple big updates, but ultimately the video will be focused around my Philadelphia Eagles and the loss of Jordan Hicks. We have, didn't really mention the Green Bay Packers. I was debating making a video about them. They spent a lot of money today. Adrian Amos, which I thought was a great piece of business. They got Darius Smith for like $66 million. They got Preston Smith for another, just a gigantic chunk of money. Which is, I don't know, man. I feel like the Green Bay Packers are in utter desperation mode right now because they have 2 first-round picks, and it is a historically great defensive line edge rush class. At least, obviously it's, you're calling it on paper. In hindsight, we'll be able to judge it. But at least for like the last 10 years, you would probably rate this year's defensive line edge class as good as any. And when you have 2 first-round picks, and you're spending like $60-some million on edge rushers that are okay, like a guy like Darius Smith. He's all right. He's an all right edge rusher. Had a breakout year with the Ravens, but how many times do we see guys from the Ravens have big seasons and then go on elsewhere and do nothing? Like, it is a big product of the scheme why guys succeed there in Baltimore. Then you got Preston Smith, who was, all right with the Redskins, and you give him huge money. I'd perfectly agree with Adrian Amos. I think Adrian Amos was a great signing, but lots of questions. I think that Green Bay Packer fans should be kind of worried right now with the kind of money that they're throwing around. Plus, they still had Nick Perry on a big-ish deal. So, I mean, that's something. Then we got Anthony Barr just Antonio Browning his way out of the Jets. Are people really that scared to go play the New England Patriots? I got to put a tweet out there saying, I bet you $2 that Anthony Barr's agents thought that the Jets were still running a 4-3 and not a 3-4. I mean, there was some confusion there. There's a legitimate shot. Let's be honest, it probably isn't that true because I think in the world of football, you're not gonna have a massive oversight like that. But just like that, he flips back and says, I'm going to go back to the Minnesota Vikings. And as always, things aren't official until tomorrow, so players can do this. And it makes sense. I mean, in my video that I dropped earlier this morning, I kind of said, they got CJ Mosley, they got Anthony Barr there in New York. And why'd you get both? It only makes sense to get one because your plan is still to get a Le'Veon Bell, still maybe to look in the interior, maybe like an Ndamukong Suh. Like, if I'm the Jets right now, those would be my targets. We got CJ Mosley locked up. We got Jamison Crowder at wide receiver. So let's get Ndamukong Suh and Le'Veon Bell. And then there you go. That's a competent team. And now with Anthony Barr's, you'd assume big contract off the books. It makes those other moves that much more possible. But the reason why I wanted to make this video is to talk about Jordan Hicks, because I know we got a massive Eagle following here on the channel. We got to talk about it, because there was a point in time during Jordan Hicks' time with Philly that we thought he was going to be the next great linebacker in the league. Like 3 years ago or whatever, he had like the second best coverage grade. Like, he was rivaling Luke Kuechly when it came to being a cover linebacker. And he has like his emphasis moments as the cowboy killer. I mean, he broke Tony Romo's collarbone. Like, it just seems like every time he played the Cowboys, someone was getting injured on the receiving end of a Jordan Hicks hit. He was a leader of the team. He was a strength of the team. I mean, the combination between Jordan Hicks and Nigel Bradham was very good. But, it was one of those things, man. You saw the writing on the wall when you saw the kind of money CJ Mosley got, the kind of money Quan Alexander especially got, because CJ Mosley definitely would be ahead of Jordan Hicks and Quan and those guys if you're ranking the available free agents at inside linebacker. But you probably would pick Jordan Hicks and Quan Alexander right in the same kind of bubble. And then when you see Quan Alexander get paid by the 49ers, Jordan Hicks was not coming back to the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, the only case we potentially would have had is if he went out there, the market wasn't exactly what he wanted, and he wanted to come back on a 1-year prove-it deal with the Eagles and then try to get big money next year. But clearly, with the big money going around a linebacker this year, it was time to strike while the iron was hot. He got a 4-year, $36 million deal, $20 million guaranteed. When I saw those figures, I was like, if that's what it would have cost the Philadelphia Eagles to bring Jordan Hicks back, I'm out. I'm not paying $20 million for a guy that unfortunately has been made of glass every year that he's been here in Philadelphia. In 4 years here, he's only played a full season once. He had 5 games as a rookie, played in a full 16 in 2016. That's when he looked like a freak of nature. In 2017, only played in 7 games. Last year, 2018, only played in 12 games. And I will say, even in like those numbers where he's getting those game starts, he would be banged up. He'd be in and out. Like, a lot of those 12 games last year, it felt like, in reality, like half of those, he was coming in and he was coming out. Old Simba couldn't stay on the field. And I mean, you look back to that 2016 season, he was exceptional. 86 tackles, he had a sack, he had 6 tackles for loss, he had 11 pass deflections, he had 5 interceptions. I mean, he looked like the next great middle linebacker, but the fact that he just can't stay healthy whatsoever, he's so unreliable that you can't justify, unless you're a team like Arizona, unless you're a team that just has money to throw at the wall, to pay him $20 million guaranteed. When you're a competitive team like Philadelphia, you got to know to let people walk. Take the Patriot approach. When a guy, even though how good he is, even though how much he means to a fan base, wants that kind of price point, you got to let him walk. Patriots have proven that you can move on. As long as you draft well, you can move on. And I think that that's probably going to have to be the case here with the Philadelphia Eagles. So Arizona Cardinal fans, what are you getting in a linebacker? Well, when he is healthy, he is one of the better cover linebackers in the league. Great athlete, good sideline-to-sideline ability, good leader. Called a lot of plays for our defense. But definitely the strength of his game is his coverage ability. So you would assume, looking at the Cardinals defense going back to a 3-4, you'll probably kind of be an upgrade to that Deion Buchanan role where, he can drop back into coverage. There's literally, from that 2016 season, I would take Jordan Hicks in coverage like over any of the corners. That was when Philly had just dog shit at cornerback. But he's a good player. He's a good player. If he was healthy, if Jordan Hicks was completely healthy, we'll give him one of these 4 years that was injuries. If he played 3 or 4 years that was healthy, then I could get by this deal. Then I could understand maybe Philly trying to find a way to make a deal of this magnitude work or justify a team paying him this kind of money elsewhere. But I think right now it's just Arizona throwing money to the wall and seeing what sticks by bringing in Jordan Hicks. Clearly, they probably wanted a top-tier linebacker, missed out on Quan, maybe missed out on C.J. Mosley, and they're like, all right, well, you have this money to give out. Let's gamble on the potential of Jordan Hicks. And I think that's what we're seeing here now, pairing with obviously T-Sizzle, Terrell Suggs going there, and really going all in to improve their linebacking core in Arizona for Mr. Vance Joseph. Sucks for the Eagles, though. That's why we're going to turn this around, is because what does this mean for Philly? Because we have a massive hole at linebacker. We don't have a whole lot of money to spend, and when you look at our linebackers, Nigel Bradham's good, but he kind of had a down year last year. Nigel Bradham got paid last offseason, and definitely, in my opinion, didn't live up to the billing, live up to the money that he got last season. And I would probably grade Nigel Bradham and Jordan Hicks kind of similar. Obviously, Nigel Bradham was a little bit older, but Nigel Bradham got a 5-year, $40 million deal last year with $14 million guaranteed. Philly also has it out next season if they really want to move on from it, which I don't think they will. But, Nigel Bradham's contract was better than what Jordan Hicks got this year. Markets are slightly different. But looking at our linebacking core, what do we do? When you look at our linebackers right now, so we got Nigel Bradham. He will be a starter, even though he didn't really live up to the contract expectations last season. He's reliable. He's always healthy. Leader of the defense. He can wear the helmet. He can call the plays. He's going to be there. But then you got Camus, Grugier Hill, obviously a fan favorite. He does a lot of things. He did the special teams. He did some of the kickoffs last year. He's our emergency kicker. He's not bad. He is what it is. He should be a guy that's a rotational guy that definitely has a spot in a defensive scheme, when you want to, specifically cover running backs out the backfield or tight ends, because he's a good cover guy. And he's kind of in that safety mold. He's a smaller linebacker, 6'1", 6'2", 220, 215, somewhere in that range. Graded out 63.7 for Pro Football Focus, which is number 51 out of all the linebackers. Now, that's not bad for a rotational guy. That's not bad for a guy that might get more snaps than your average depth player, but he shouldn't be kind of penciled in as a starter. Then you look beyond that, you got Nate Gary, who is not very good. He's kind of more of a special team guy, roster bubble. We got Paul Warlow, who's coming off an injury. Even Paul Warlow, when he was playing for Detroit, he had one good year with the Atlanta Falcons. And since then, he's kind of your old school linebacker that's getting phased out of the National Football League because he doesn't bring you a lot in terms of coverage ability. He's more of an in-the-box guy. You got B.J. Bello, we got Alex Singleton, who's one of the better linebackers from the CFL. It'll be interesting to see what he can bring. But again, I think he more so will compete with Paul Warlow for that old school, first, second down type linebacker role. We got Asante Brown, who's a practice squad type guy. So there's a big question mark here for the linebackers on this current roster. And you look at available free agents, we're probably going to sign someone that's kind of a budget player. I know Josh Bynes, who oddly enough was a former Arizona Cardinal. He got a 75 Pro Football Focus grade. Actually had some pretty good production. I actually heard about him. I think some Eagle beat reporters have been kind of pumping him up. But I remember I picked him up in my IDP fantasy league. He had a couple big weeks. So I was like, all right, Josh Bynes, sure. So, he could be somewhat affordable. But I'm kind of more so looking towards the draft. At pick 25, there's some options here between the first and 2 second-round picks. In the first round, what if Devin Bush slips from Michigan? Slightly undersized linebacker, but tested out the park at the combine, and his tape is exceptional. He could be there. If he slips past the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 20, I would love to have Devin Bush on this team. Or when you look into the second round, maybe Mack Wilson, because I think Mack Wilson's stock is kind of taking a little bit of a hit right now because, the athletic concerns and just not testing the combine. We're going to have to wait to the pro day. But right now, Mack Wilson could be available in the second round. You got Voshawn Joseph from my Florida Gators could be available in the second round. Gary Johnson from Texas ran incredibly fast. Is probably going to get a huge hype around his stock. He might be there for the second round pick. We wait till the fourth round, and then we can look at guys like TJ Edwards, Terrell Hanks, Jermaine Pratt, Bobby Okereke. There are some good linebackers in this year's draft. I'm going to be honest with you right now because of the Malik Jackson signing. I think it kind of alleviates the pressure that we all need to, fingers crossed that Christian Wilkins can slip all the way to 25. Now I'm kind of like shifting that mentality to Devin Bush. I think right now when you look at this team, linebacker is, in my opinion, without a doubt, the biggest question mark. And I don't know, man. Devin Bush might not be there. That's all we can say. Is I really do think that right now, until we see what Mack Wilson can do at his pro day, the drop-off from the Devin White and Devin Bush right now looks kind of considerable. From a really, is a guy worth a first-round pick, or is he more of a day 2 pick? So, right now, fingers crossed. All in right now. C4's mentality with Jordan Hicks. Sad day seeing Simba leave the nest and going on to bigger and brighter things. I'm happy he got paid completely. Same with Nick Foles. Sucks to see him go, but very happy to get paid. He'll always be an Eagle in my opinion. But, right now I'm in Devin Bush mode. Right now I am just lasered in on Philly getting Devin Bush in the draft. That's how we're going to replace Jordan Hicks right now. And maybe get Josh Bynes in free agency. What do you guys think about Jordan Hicks? What do you guys think about all the Anthony Barr? Do you agree that Philly should be looking in at Devin Bush as our primary target in free agency? Let me know in the comment section below. And I'm sure we'll probably be touching base with each other before the day is done, as we are awaiting the Le'Veon Bell news. We are awaiting the Earl Thomas news. So you better believe I'll be back at you when that drops. So thank you guys for watching. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time at C4, saying peace out.